The greatest power in the universe is life, and it's in you. Every moment, every hour, every day, month, and year, you gain more experience, more ability, more power. Go be great.
You're listening to the Go Be Great podcast with Travis Wolf Sr., inspiring you to strive for greatness in everything, everywhere, every time.
Go be great!
Great day, great day, great day. Welcome to the Go Be Great podcast. I am Travis Wolf Sr. and you are great. This is episode 3 of the Go Be Great podcast, and I just want to say thank you so much for your time and attention. I am truly grateful for it, and I do not take it for granted. You know, today I want to talk a little bit about the power of action, right? The power of action. It's so important in our lives, and I think often we take it for granted how important the power of action really is. I'll tell you a quick story actually. It was 2017, August 2017. My wife calls me on the phone and she's like, babe, well, before I get into the story, my wife remembers it a little bit differently, but I'm telling you how I remember it, and the way I remember it is probably closer to, I'm not gonna do that, she's gonna kill me. But my wife does remember it a little bit differently, but here's the story. My wife calls me one day, it's August 1st, 2017, and I'm driving in my car. I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but she calls me and she says, hey babe, when you come home, I like to talk. And I'm like, talk about what? You know, she's like, I think it's just time to have the talk. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I know I'm a good husband. I know I haven't done anything wrong. Like, what is it that she wants to talk about, right? So I get home, I rush home, and I open the door, and my family is sitting down at the dining room table. So they're in the kitchen, and my wife is standing across from me as I come in through the garage door. My daughter's on one side, my son's on the other side, and my other daughter's on my wife's lap, leaving that one seat for me. So now I come home, I sit down, I'm a little bit nervous, and she's like, yeah, I think it's time to have the conversation, you know, about Anaya going to Los Angeles. And I'm like, you know, that's interesting that we're having this conversation, you know, what's it about, right? So she starts to tell me the story about this agency in California that wants to bring our daughter Anaya on. And I'm just listening, and I'm in my mind, I'm thinking like, you know, where's this going? Probably not gonna agree with this, because I'm a Philadelphia police sergeant at the time, and all I know is protecting my family, and I can't see myself protecting them, you know, 2,400 miles away, you know? So in my mind, I'm already thinking, no, there's no way. So after she finishes telling me the story, I'm like, at first I'm like, nah, there's no way. She's thinking her and Anaya go to California and they kind of test the waters and see what it's like and see if it works out, and, you know, and then maybe come back. And I'm like, no, absolutely not, right? And then in the same breath, I remember telling my daughter when she was 13 that by the time she's 16, I promised to have her in LA. Now, when I made her this promise, I had no plan, right? I was just being a dad, seeing my daughter do great things, knowing she wanted to be a director. I don't have any money. I don't have any savings. I don't have anything. Like, I'm making 6 figures living check to check, right? Don't ask me how. I'm bringing in over 6 figures a year, and I'm literally penny pinching. I don't know how I'm going to save to get my daughter to California. But I remember me telling her that. So in the same breath that I say, absolutely not, I remembered that promise that I made. And my daughter's 15 years old, and it's August 1st. Her birthday is going to be December 10th. That's not a lot of time. I got to make a move, right, before she's 16 and keep my promise. So the power of action just kicked in, and I'm like, you know what? You're not going to go test it out and see what happens. Like, you're going to go, and you guys are going to stay, and we're going to make it work no matter what. And you're never going to have to come back to Philadelphia again unless you want to come back to Philadelphia. So we started taking action. Like, immediately right then, like, I made a decision, and once we made the decision, we made a decision. Once our family made this decision that we're going to make this move for our daughter to go to California, we're going to do whatever it takes now. So now we just got to take immediate action in every area, whatever that looks like. So I know I don't have any savings. How can I possibly afford to live in California? Well, my mortgage is $1,000 for this home that we own. Well, that the bank really owns, whatever, that's another story. But my mortgage is $1,000, so we're going to sell the home. So I immediately took action, called my guy who's a real estate agent, was like, hey man, you're my guy, I know I can trust you, I got to sell this house now. So house went on the market, sold in 12 days, right? We got an offer for it. The offer we were going to accept came in 12 days, started the process for selling the home. We had to go to St. Lucia to speak. My daughter and I were speaking in St. Lucia. She was premiering her film, and we were speaking to some students there at different places and, doing our thing there. So immediately, as we started to prepare for St. Lucia, we prepared to go to California. So we started packing our stuff up, throwing things away, packing my wife's stuff and my daughter's stuff so that they can move to California. It was actually going to be my wife, my daughter Anaya, and my daughter Sky, my youngest one. And at the time, I think she's 3 years old. So we're packing all our stuff up. Everybody's getting ready to go for the move to California. So our mindset is like, we're moving everything to California. We're selling everything in the house and everything in it. And we're coming back from St. Lucia, packing up this SUV and driving across the country. So we just started taking all the action that was necessary, whatever that looked like, schools, whatever. And sometime when we make a decision or when we think we want to make a decision in our lives, don't all these different things start coming into play like, oh my God, I got to do this, I got to do that. How am I going to, I can't do it. And then eventually we're like, you know what, forget it. It's too much. I can't possibly get all these things done. But the truth is, you can. The truth is, we can get all of these things done. The truth is, we just have to take immediate action. The truth is, we just have to take immediate and consistent action to get the job done. There's two things. One thing, those things have to get done. And the other thing is, you got to make a choice whether or not you're going to do it or you're not. And we know what happens when we don't do the thing. It doesn't get done. But what happens if we actually do it? Like what happens if we actually do that thing? Whatever it is. Oh, here's another thing. Oh, here's another problem. Here's another situation. Here's another mountain to climb. Here's another, obstacle to climb. Here's another opportunity. Like, we know we got to get it done, right? So what if we just did it? Just do it. Take consistent action. And that's what we did. So when we came back from from St. Lucia, we packed our stuff up, moved to Los Angeles. We don't have a place to move into. We don't have a place to live. My wife doesn't even have, her credit at that time wasn't good enough for her to rent her income combined with her credit wasn't enough to get her an apartment in California because my wife was a stay-at-home mom at the time. And she had closed down her salon, just a year prior in order for us to, actually a few years prior rather. She had just closed down her salon a few years prior, so she had no income. She was being a stay-at-home mom in order for us to help our kids achieve their dreams in the entertainment industry. So we knew we had to figure out how my wife can, get a place to live. We booked the Airbnb, got that done, until we could find a place for her to move into. Actually, when we first moved to LA, we stayed at a Super 8 motel. It wasn't a nice motel, but it wasn't a super terrible motel. It was a Super 8, but it wasn't great, right? So we found a place to stay temporarily. She had an Airbnb when I flew back to Philadelphia. But before I left, we found a place that we really liked. My wife found a place. It was the first place we tried. It had everything we wanted, all the amenities. It was a beautiful luxury apartment, and it was like a gated, community. So I felt safe leaving my family in California while I was in Philadelphia. Long story short, guys, we co-signed for the apartment, my wife and I, and then I jumped on a plane and came back to Philadelphia. So we basically made a decision August 1st, 2017, that we were going to live my wife and my daughters were going to live in California, and my son and myself were going to stay here in Philadelphia while we sold the home and got everything together. And then eventually my son was going to move out to LA with my wife and my daughters. And I was going to support their lifestyle from afar while I was still a sergeant with the police department in Philly. So we just took the actions to make that happen. We didn't know what it was going to look like. We know there was fear there was nervousness there was the unknown, but we just took action. And you know what conquered all those fears? And you know what conquered all the unknowns? The action, just taking action. And because of it, I mean, we are where we are today. So I'm telling you that story to say the power of action is super, super important for us to understand. Nothing happens without action. And as we continue to take more action, we start to build more momentum, right? And I'll talk about that in another podcast, but consistent action builds momentum, right? It builds momentum. And once that momentum starts going, there's almost nothing that can stop it, right? The only thing that can stop the momentum is you stopping it. But the more action we take, the more we push it along, the more momentum that's built, and the closer we get to our goals, and the faster we get there. So my message to you guys is simply this: continue to build the momentum. Continue to take consistent action. And the more you take, the more action you take, the closer you get to your goal. Don't let those fears get in the way. Don't let those challenges or those obstacles or whatever we call those things, don't let those things get in the way. Look at those things as opportunities for us to grow, for us to get more momentum. Just imagine if there's a mountain that we have to climb. Many of us look at challenges or obstacles as, obstacles, right? Think about a mountain. If you climb a mountain, what happens when you get to the top? It's all downhill from here. It's all downhill from here. That's where the momentum kicks in. So these mountains that we have in front of us, these mountains are just opportunities, right? And the faster you climb that obstacle, that mountain, once we conquer it, it's all downhill. The momentum is building. As you're going up, you're building more momentum. And when you get to the top, it's all downhill. So let's look at these mountains or obstacles or challenges as opportunities so that we can, opportunities to grow and to get better, and opportunities to get us to where we want to get to faster so that we can stop being intimidated by these obstacles, so we can stop being intimidated by these challenges, right? It's all about perspective. So just to wrap up, guys, the power of action, understand the importance of it, take consistent action, immediate action, make a decision, take consistent action so that you can get to where you want to go and you can conquer your goals. So that concludes the Go Be Great experience. Episode 3, it is a wrap. Guys, I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I am so grateful for your time and attention. I do not take it for granted. I thank you. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. So thank you again. It was my pleasure to serve you. God bless you, and go be great.